If you take a close look at that cover right there, what you're going to see is one of the best discographies in the whole damn game. What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email right here. But right now, we are going to talk about this new Zero album called Legendary. And yes, he did just drop an album a couple of months ago called Drinking and Driving, which is possibly going to make my top 10 because I've just had it in my car forever, and I think it's one of Zero's best pieces of work. And earlier this year, I think it was back in January, he dropped an EP called Solid. So he's really been flooding out quite a bit of music this year. And as a big Zero fan, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed because I think this album is another nice addition to his discography. But at the same time, I do kind of wish there was a bit more space between this album and his last one because I'm still bumping Drinking and Driving heavy. So by the time this one came out, I wasn't really excited to hear it, although I did like a couple of songs on here. But the main thing is that it is getting a little bit redundant, just having this many releases, having these two so close together. Because one thing about Zero is he doesn't stray outside of his lane. And it's not that you want him to do that too much because he's very versatile. He can sing, he can rap, he can make bangers like OG where he's just being grimy and aggressive. He can make wavy, catchy tracks like Through the City, where he's looking back at when he couldn't afford gas money, but now he's riding in a Bentley. Like, he can do it all, man. He can really come together and make a wide variety of tracks. But the thing is, he has all these albums out, as you can see, as you look at all the album covers on this album cover, and putting out all these projects so close together, you know, it's kind of hard to really be overly excited if you've been listening to Zero for a long time. Although, again, this is still a pretty solid project. And another thing Zero is known for is bringing that crazy, dirty sense of humor. Like on Dome, Kush, and Codeine, where we get this nice guitar backdrop, and he's comparing girls to Hoover vacuums, and also saying that he needs to see some ID because he doesn't mess with minors, only grown vaginas. And I thought that was kind of a funny line, just sounded like something you might see in a comedy movie or something along those lines. But one of the funniest lines on this to me came on the song Drink and Smoke. This one actually has one of my favorite beats because it has a little bit of a video game feel to it. And on here, he's talking about how him and his girl are just having troubles in their relationship. So all they do now is drink and smoke. And one of the issues is that she doesn't trust him, so she wants to smell his dick whenever he comes in to make sure he's not cheating. And goddamn, if you ever get to a point where a girl has to like hold your dick up like a fajita or a sloppy taco and just give it a whiff to make sure you're not cheating, if you get to that point, man, you need to get the hell out of there because that shit is not gonna work. But what would a Zero album be without him proclaiming his One Deep status and going in about his trust issues? Obviously, the song One Deep for Life is all about how he's keeping it one deep. And the song I know is actually one of the standouts on here. This is another one that's very smooth and wavy. He has some nice harmonies on that first verse, and the hook is also very catchy. And here he's just singing about how the haters want to see him down. And he has a very interesting line on here where he says that, you know, him and Trey the Truth aren't even talking anymore, but him and Slim Thug are like brothers, which is very interesting because he used to beef with Slim Thug, and him and Trey used to be very close. I mean, they were in a group together called ABN, or Assholes by Nature. So I just thought that was kind of interesting how he's been in the game for so long and he's touching on how things can change over time, not just in the game, but even just in life, because we all have friends who we move on from, and sometimes we become friends with people who maybe we didn't expect to. So I thought that was a cool little part on there. But in spite of this lone wolf mentality and these trust issues that he always raps and sings about, he does have a couple of features on here, but they're not overly memorable. You got Mike D on the song Can I, and then you have Just Britney on the song It's Okay, and neither of these features or neither of these songs were that great to me, although It's Okay does have a bit of a funky summertime feel to it, so you might be able to work with it if you just want something to bop with and, you know, maybe get a little bit of bounce on, something like that. But neither track was really anything overly great or memorable. But the best track on here, or at least one of the best tracks, I think I Know might be my favorite one, but another one would definitely be Screwed Up, because this has Zero getting political and just spitting about police brutality, just all the racial profiling, just all this type of shit that's going on. He's just dropping a lot of social commentary, and I really like that one line when he brings up how whenever black people open a door or get ahead a little bit, that door eventually always gets slammed back. And I think that was a pretty profound thing to say, especially when you look at Trump being president now and you see him filling his staff up with white nationalists and people who are just kind of sketchy in regard to race relations and equality. You know, shit might get fucked up over the next 4 years. I guess we're going to have to wait and see, but I just thought that was a good point that he was making. Hopefully things don't get that ugly, but, you know, time will tell. But in the end, I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5. I still think it's really dope as far as a Zero album goes. I mean, it's more of the same. He's not doing anything too different, but I think eventually he is going to have to do something a little bit different, man. I don't know what that needs to be, but he really has been doing the same thing over and over. And when you're dropping so many projects close together, it does kind of make the music just fall off a little bit, in my opinion. But there are still a couple songs on here that I would bump and listen to. I just think Drinking and Driving is better. But, you know, if you're a big Zero fan, check this out. You're not going to be disappointed. And if you're not into Zero's music or you're not familiar, this is really as good a place to start as any, because like I said, it sounds pretty much the same as everything that he does, you know, that he has been doing, I should say, throughout his career. But that's just what I thought about it. You guys can check it out for yourself and then hit me up in the comment section with your thoughts, and make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff, man, where you like my videos, you share them, you follow me on Twitter, you retweet the videos, and of course, man, you got to subscribe to my channel and click like on the new Facebook page where we're having all kinds of extra discussion. It's really nice over there. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.